of acres. We're talking about, like 1,000 acres or so, or even less than that, but smallholder family farms, and teaching them a lot of education involved here, on the ground, being there present. We're not just throwing money in. We actually have teams in Ghana and our other projects that are teaching these regenerative organic practices and what it involves. And anybody who's been farming for a long time is probably like, well, this isn't new. These are old techniques. It involves things like intercropping, that you don't grow things in a monoculture. That's not how nature works. Right. Nature always grows in a variety and biodiversity, and that where plants can benefit each other and such. So when you see these big monocrops that are depleting the land, it's because they don't have the benefit of other crops around them. And so teaching biodiversity, teaching how they can intercrop several valuable crops, so that not only do they have the one crop, let's say palm, that's harvested at one point in the year, but they're also intercropping with bananas and cassava and cacao and coffee and other things that not only are making everything more productive, they're giving the farmers additional crops to sell. They're giving them a steadier income because these harvest at different times of the year. And they're also giving them more stability, because if one crop fails or the market plummets or whatever, that's not where everything rests for them.
Yes.
And so it's a fascinating way of solving so many problems at once. And
yes, and it's such a domino effect, isn't it? Yeah, domino effect, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. And recently, Dr. Bronners became involved in a project called Relief Pad, where you offer support for menstrual hygiene relief in rural India. Can you talk about this project? This is very important, and how Dr. Bronners became involved and why it's so important to help the young girls of India.
Yes, this particular support came out of another project that we work with in northern India called Pavitramente. Dr. Bronners, with our peppermint Castile soap, we are the largest user of organic fair trade peppermint oil in the world. And we wanted to make sure we were sourcing this oil ethically and fairly for the farmers and the land. And so we have established this relationship with an organization called Pavitramente in northern India that is fair trade, as well as organic. Now, part of fair trade is that there is a 10% premium added onto the price of the material that goes into a community betterment fund. And that fund is managed by local people who are aware of local issues and can administrate where these funds are used. And so it could be on supporting, clean water or bridges or cleaning up pollution in waterways, various things, usually smaller projects to be deeply invested in that particular community. But Relief Pad was one of the organizations that the Pavitramente Community Betterment Fund supported. So that's where it came from. Now, Relief Pad, it's just something that you wouldn't think of in our Western, environment. We don't think of this as being a major problem or something that would keep you out of society, but it's huge there. When girls hit puberty and they begin menstruating, they have to stay home from school during these times. Not only do they fall behind then in their education, but that's a bit of an announcement to their classmates and to their society. And so there's a stigma associated with menstruation. And so because of that, the girls often withdraw from education, which cuts off their opportunities and their growth and their advancement. And so this thing that we don't even consider as, as, I don't know, maybe a minor inconvenience, is actually just an absolute shutdown for them. And so Relief Pad does several things. It's an organization that supplies a cotton reusable pad to women that is washable. It can dry indoors, so there's no having to hang it on a laundry line and such. It's very durable. Disposable products were not an option because that would just create another problem with the waste and such.
Of course.
And having to continuously resupply them. And so what they started with was a test group, basically, of people connected to the actual Pavitra project there. And they gave each woman who was willing to participate four of the relief pads. They educated them on how to care for the pad, how to care for themselves. And it went really well. They overcame a lot of reluctance, a lot of lack of confidence and such. And they have now expanded the project to more of the community around it. Again, it has to be both supplying the product and educating. And they've also been in contact with schools and educators to help them remove the stigma away from this time of a woman's life. And so, it's something, as I said, that's so basic and yet is so fundamental to the ability of these women to grow and learn and realize their potential.
Such an amazing outreach, because, you are right. People in the Western world, we don't, a lot of women don't think about this. And how would you unless you didn't hear it as we are talking about it today, right? And making our listeners aware of what's going on in the world around us. And, Lisa, you are so busy, and you have so many of these worthwhile projects and amazing philanthropic outreaches to people who need it. What do you love most about your job with Dr. Bronners?
Well, my favorite part is interacting with people, and most of it is virtual. I mean, especially these days, almost it's entirely virtual. But right. It's so important to remember that there's a person on the other side of that screen, and I sense that. I know that when I'm writing with people, communicating through comments and such with them, that these are people there. And I love being able to help people in their everyday lives. And the other thing that I love about my work with Dr. Bronners is that because we are privately owned, we're very nimble. And, so if somebody has a good idea, like, they can try it. And I love that freedom of, or if I have a passion that's on my heart, of an organization I want to help or a topic I want to address, I love having the freedom to be able to act on that, and to follow the energy and the enthusiasm of that moment. It's just something I know isn't possible if you have a larger company or one that perhaps is more dependent on shareholders and such.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Do you have any new products in development that you want to talk about, that you'd like to sort of maybe give us a little insight into?
Well, this is an unexpected one, but Dr. Bronners is coming out with our first book. So it's called Honor Thy Label. If you're at all familiar with the Dr. Bronners label, yes, you know that there are a lot of words on it. And that's a whole other story about where those words came from and why our label looks that way. But basically, it lays out why we do what we do. And this book, Honor Thy Label, talks about how we have followed up these principles with the practices as a company. So this book, Honor Thy Label, which is written by our Vice President of Special Ops, Gara Lasson, he is the one that has been the feet on the ground in all of our fair trade projects. And as I don't know if I mentioned directly, we actually are partial owners of 3 different fair trade projects around the world. Ghana, Serenda Palm in Ghana, Serenda Paul in Sri Lanka, and Serenda Cocoa in Samoa. And this is a story of how we did it, because we don't just want to do these things ourselves. We want to show other businesses how they can do it too. And we also want to be very transparent with our customers of what is going into this product. They want to know. And so it's got some of the Dr. Bronner story and just a lot of detail. It's a great read. So that's coming out March 9th.
I am very excited about that book. I'm going to be first in line.
Wonderful. There's actually a nice VIP package with a special commemorative bottle of soap if you pre-order it right now.
That is fantastic. I hope all our listeners are hearing that right now. Lisa, I just want to say that we have come to the end of our interview. That went so quickly.
It did.
It was absolutely fantastic. I still want to know about you as a mom and your busy job and your hectic schedule, but We can leave that for next time, and hopefully we can maybe have you on talking about the book at a later date, and anything that we can do to support you in all these wonderful projects that Dr. Bronners is helping and implementing. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here. I know how busy you are.
Thank you. It was my joy. I so enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you. And if you would like more information about Lisa, you can visit lisabronner.com, lisabronner.com. And you can also visit drbronner.com, drbronner.com. And of course, her wonderful website, Going Green with Lisa Bronner. Hey, look, grab yourself a cup of tea, sit down, and just read. It's some fantastic reading. And as she is a journalist, everything is so beautifully written. And of course, it's really easy to navigate the website. And please, everyone, our listeners, mark your calendars for 2021 Yoga Expo Global Virtual Conference on May 13th and 14th. I am joining over 75 other instructors from across the globe to bring community and consciousness to everyone. I can't wait to share my class, Yin Yoga for all levels. And for the first 10 people who go to the Yin Yoga Lifestyle website and buy a yinyogalifestyle.com monthly package just for 1 month, you'll receive a free ticket to the 2021 Virtual Yoga Expo. You just follow the instructions on the website homepage at yinyogalifestyle.com. And if you're there, just subscribe to the newsletter and you can tap into daily online yin yoga and meditation classes. And if you're interested in joining us at Yin Yoga Lifestyle, your first class is always free. You can even visit our Yin Yoga Lifestyle store and support the environment with each yoga mat purchase. Thanks again, Lisa, for being with us today. What a joy it has been.
Thank you so much, Colette. I so appreciated it.
And thank you for joining us today, all our listeners at yinyogalifestyle.com, and adding enlightenment, calm, balance, and creativity to your everyday life. I am your host, Colette Darville. Join us next time to continue our journey of balancing into a state of perfect harmony. Until then, this is Colette Darville, reminding you to inhale, so, and exhale, hum.